I can't tell you guys how excited I've been to record this podcast. I'm super sorry for the delay, even though it's only been about a week since I've recorded. But I have a smorgasbord of topics that I had written down like a week or something ago, and I was supposed to record this last week, but I've been really busy with real estate and other business that I had to handle. We had some family over, so I thought I'd just park a break on this for just for a couple of days before I hopped on. But I have so many topics that I want to talk about. So on this episode of Vibrations, I'm probably going to make this a two-part kind of episode thing. Episode 4 part 1, and then a part 2 releasing like the following day or something, because there's so much. I had so much shit written down that I wanted to talk to you guys about, and then over the course of a couple of days there's been a bunch of new happenings around the world. The fucking queen is dead at 96. Hold your applause. And yeah, you know what, I'm gonna talk about that because I'm so fucking sick and tired of people still holding up a fucking monarchy from the past, like, however fucking long these assholes have been in power and colonizing other countries. Like, where the fuck did everyone just accept this persona of the royal family and the fucking king and queens, them being like cute and shit? Like, bro, you understand like, these motherfuckers were present and allowed for the colonization of other countries in the modern day. Like, they still have active colonies in these other countries, and I'm gonna get into that in a little bit. But I jumped the gun a little bit on that, but it just makes me so fucking angry because, like, obviously I'm Indian, and on my dad's side, my dad's side is from Fiji and my mom's side is from India. So, like, the topic of fucking the queen and the British royal family, like, you can go all the way and fuck yourself. Because I'm not gonna sit here and, dude, what pisses me off the most is that I actually have family members that are just like intrigued and actually keep up with these motherfuckers like they didn't fucking colonize India. And you know, the last colony that the fucking they had colonies in Fiji, where my family came from before they arrived here to America in 1989. That fucking colony ended in 1987. 1987. Bro, like, and there's still active colonies, dude, and I have like screenshots and stuff. I went on a little rampage, if you want to go look on CRTN's Instagram. And you know, there are some times, bro, where I'll like comment back to people on there that ever, because you guys don't understand. I get a lot of messages. A lot. And these messages, like 80, no, like 70% of the time, they're it's obviously someone with an opposing political point of view, economical, socioeconomic, whatever point of view. And they voice their opinion, and I have like debates here and there with people that I actually would like to listen to and get their opposing side on. But most of the time, 99% of the time, the people that message me are fucking idiots. And I used to want to argue with a lot of people a lot of the times, but now it's just like, you're not going to change no one's opinion, bro. You will not change anyone's opinion in this heightened, accelerated, polarized time that we're living in on the modern planet, especially in the United States. So for all you motherfuckers out there that are like, I'm going to change the world or all that kind of stuff, or like you're going to go after corruption on Wall Street and on DC and on Capitol Hill, you're gonna be the fucking Harvey Dent. You're not. Just go figure out a way to make some money, to be comfortable, live out your dreams, and fucking help your family out, because you're not gonna change shit, bro. I'm not even being pessimistic. I'm being cynical in the definition of that word, to mean that I know enough and I've seen enough to understand that no one man's input will ever change the world unless there is divine intervention. And that's, you want to talk about aliens and angels and fucking religion and all that stuff, and that's a whole nother topic. But so yeah, there's just a bunch of corruption all around, and fucking there's nothing you can do about it. So let's just make this money and live a good life. So back to the fucking Queen's bullshit. I feel like, you know what, before I get into the Queen's topic, I'm obviously gonna spark this joint, and I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't able to go to the cannabis dispensary for a little while now, so I'm on my last joint here, and I actually took a little hitter ripper last night watching the Nate Diaz fight. If anyone watches UFC, dude, that's fucking that could have been Diaz's last fight. It was his last fight on his contract, so it's pretty cool. And like, say what you want, obviously he's been through a lot. He's been raised in a rough geographic location, Stockton, California, 209. But the motherfucker's a fighter, and he's always been who he was. That's one thing you can never ever take away from Nate Diaz or his brother Nick, is that you literally will get what you see, and that's what I respect so much about them. So hats off to Diaz and on his win, fighting Tony Ferguson, also another legend in the UFC. Great fight all around. Really going to be interesting to see what happens with Chamav, his original opponent. If you don't know, there was a big controversy on press day, media press day for the UFC the day before, Chamav weighed in 8 pounds over on their designated bout with Diaz, so they had to change the fighting with two fighters. So Tony Ferguson stepped in, and I'm so sorry, I forgot the other dude's name that Chamav fought, but that motherfucker was out in the first round. Like, Chamav fucking got him in a submission, and that shit was just unreal. This dude just like body slammed him and fucking really showed that he's a force to fucking be reckoned with, bro. Like, I really want to see someone fight him. I saw some people in the comments talking about Colby and who was the other one? I can't remember. But yeah, anyways, that was a weird tangent. If you didn't like the UFC, now you know a little bit about it. So I'm gonna spark this joint, and dude, there's just so much shit that I want to talk about. So you guys are gonna have to be patient with me if I go off on my usual tangents and go through a deeper rabbit hole. But some of the things that I wanted to talk about today was obviously the bitch ass Queen's death. And we're gonna specifically go into like the South Yemen and their colonies there, because I have like documents from there from a historian from that region that kind of shows what really happened there and what commonly happens in the British colonies around the world and their Commonwealth colonies. Commonwealth, even though they fucking monopolize the country they're invading, and they fucking monopolize their commodities even when they leave. So haha, funny. Anyways, so we're gonna talk about the art of demography. So my brother put me on this, and we're gonna kind of go into the demographics of China, Russia, the US, and India. And dude, it's really fucking interesting, because it will show you the future economic outlook of a country, and it'll also explain where certain countries are and how they've been able to thrive in the global economy and all that kind of good stuff. And I also want to talk about a little dabbling into the stock market and talking about what I'm some of my strategies, without kind of giving exactly what the fuck I'm doing, because I have paying clients that pay for my advice, and I like to uphold that confidentiality. So I'll kind of just give a general path of the avenue that I'm going down based off of my economic predictions for our country and the global environment. So that'll be really cool to talk about with you guys, and hopefully I can get into real estate investments, specifically doing the BRRRR method on properties, because that's a super popular topic that a lot of investors and wholesalers like to do to maximize their profits in the real estate world. I'm not sure if I'm really going to get into this so much, because I really, really, really wanted to talk about pyramid power. And pyramid power um, the new scientific articles that have been released that study the electromagnetic energy that is concentrated within the pyramids of Giza, and how they relate to the star alignments. And I have my own opinions on them based on the experience that I've had with remote viewing, the studies that have been done with the Stanford Research Institute, and specifically with Russell Targ. Um, and I wanted to kind of put forth my own hypothesis on dark energy, dark matter, how that relates to our electromagnetic field, and the the infamous ethereal connection within the universe that connects us in a non-physical, non-local way. So I hopefully want to mesh all of those topics into one, to relate to my own hypothesis on basically how the pyramids could have acted as a stargate slash portal slash a receiver of information from other constellations, and kind of talking about how the ancient Egyptians, ancient Mesopotamians, ancient Sumerians, how a lot of their structures are aligned with the stars, and obviously their own folklore, stories, records that they have depict extraterrestrial beings and all these really um, eccentric things that we can't explain even with modern technology. And then the last two, obviously, today I'm recording this on September 11th, and today marks the 21st anniversary of the collapse of the Twin Towers, somehow by fucking jet fuel. So I'm gonna just like mention that in a little bit here and there. Other than that, okay, last fucking thing, dude. Do you see what I mean by like there's so much shit that I want to talk about? I'm 100% not gonna get through this whole thing, but that's why we're doing a 2-part series, right? I also started a Patreon. Yeah, I'm here for the fucking money now, guys. I sold my soul. I made a Patreon on Podbean because it was like just a thing to do. And it's just a way, if you want to specifically support the Vibrations podcast and the dialogue that I present on here. I feel that it's a very valuable outlet of information for not only people my age in the millennial generation, but for the younger and possibly the older, to kind of, talk about the things people don't want to talk about. Who's the fuck one who's going to talk about the fucking tragedies of the British colonies, the bullshit of 9/11, demographies and the future economic outlooks of country, fucking stock investments, real estate, Burr methods for passive income, and pyramid power, dude. Where the fuck are you gonna find such a wide variety, bro? Like, for real, tell me where, because I'd like to listen to that as well. But anyways, that's what we're gonna get into today. So I'm gonna spark up this joint that's already half burnt, and I'm just gonna hope that I'm gonna get through these topics as cleanly and intelligently as possible. So if you're about to spark up, go ahead and get that thanger moving and grooving, because we are gonna have a great conversation, guys. Great conversation. And I really miss doing this, dude. Like, even though it's literally hasn't been longer than a week, it still was a long time, because I was doing, because I don't just do podcasts, right? Like, I do real estate content. I try to bolster up my content on social media, and I'm doing other things to make some money, dude, because the ultimate goal is to buy an island and recreate the pyramids and showcase free energy and showcase how we can just like fix the societal issues that we have pretty simply, and just focus on the universe and contacting aliens. That's my dream. So if you're supporting Vibrations financially, that's what you're investing in. You're investing in the future of a advanced civilization that we will build from the ground up. Sounds simple enough? I think so. I know so. Ooh, man. That was a lot to get through. That fucking intro. But that's what we do, man. We do what we do. Podcasting is more of a fucking a passion, I guess. It's gonna be a passion. I already know it. Based on just how fucking deprived I was to fucking talk, I guess. That's how I know. That's how I know this shit is gonna be solid. So, oh, I didn't even say cheers. Cheers, cheers to you guys. I didn't even tell you guys what the fuck I'm smoking. What am I doing? This one is Papa's Herb. This is an indica. It's a this is Girl Scout cookies. Girl Scout cookies is solid. It's a solid strain. It's 30% THC, so that's cool. Man, I really want to start my own cannabis farm. If there's any farmers or people that want to invest in like starting up a cannabis company, like growing, let's talk, dude. Cause I know how to grow from personal experience, and like looking into ancient cultures and how how they were growing stuff. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably already know what I'm about to say. But terra preta soil, go look it up. It's what the ancient Amazonians used to grow their crops, and it's like a primarily coal-based coal compost, and some other stuff in there. It's like a mixture that you have to prepare for. I think it's like a week or two. But it yields insane harvest. Insane. Like the soil itself is like a super soil that can grow in any kind of condition. And you know, obviously with California's fucking weather, we have very shit soil, if you don't already know. This goes back to like Monsanto and fucking how the fucking farming industry just turned to complete dog water. Like the soil, a lot of growers focused on the fertilization process into maximizing their yield, and in doing so, it takes away the life of the soil, if that makes sense. Like if you plant something in the fucking dirt ass field across like on the freeway, do you think your fucking tomato plant is gonna grow? No, it's not. More than likely, no, it's not, because the soil is shit. It needs nutrients. It needs certain certain compounds to allow the plant to yield in such a way, and certain plants need certain other metrics, right? Like there's just different things different plants need. So the fertilizer handles all the aspects of that, and basically artificially inflating how the yield will, or how the harvest will appear. However, the soil itself is dying. There's nothing to replenish the soil and to keep the process to perpetuate. So what you see now today, you know what? I'm not even gonna get crazy on this joint right now. I already know. I'm gonna be smoking this throughout the thanger, but I don't want to fuck this dialogue up. So what you have today is soil that's complete shit, and the fruits are much bigger, but the nutrients in the plants, or not, sorry, in the fruits and vegetables are substantially less nutritious than the plants from, let's say, four decades ago. If you look up how, like, I think it's any fucking fruit, dude, like, from an apple to an orange to a banana. I think the example that I saw was a banana. And if you compare a certain species of banana from 4 decades ago to now, it's literally 20%. It's lost 80% of its nutritionist value in the last 4 decades. And that's a result of fertilization, no soil maintenance. I'm not too well read into it, but I'm pretty sure like the fucking Monsanto insecticides and all those kinds of chemical sprays also play a part. So that's where we're at. What the fuck was I even talking about? Oh yeah, So yeah, if you wanted to get into planting and growing marijuana and cannabis and all that good shit, reach out to me. I feel like I'm an asset in that area. So let's talk, bro. Okay, now let's get to it, man. Let's start this fucking podcast off. Let's go ahead and just get the bitch ass queen's death out the way. So here we go. On September 8th in the morning, it was announced that Her Majesty the Queen of England has died. Hashtag London Bridge is down. And London Bridge is like the code name that they use for the Queen. And London Bridge is down is like the whole plan of what these motherfuckers are gonna do when she passes away. So London Bridge is down is like the official signal of it's go time. The fucking plan is now commenced. So here's a photo of the Queen, and go ahead and just take a little gander at her and her little sword just chilling, right? There's that old Queen, the cute one everyone's talking about. Here's a picture of Queen Elizabeth in Aden. Dated 1954, the Queen ruled over South Yemen as a colony in which native Yemenis were separated from the public image while white Britons lingered around as if it was their own country. So this was an image from back then just to bring back some memories and to point to some real history that happened that may not be talked about at all. It's for sure not going to be talked about. So I actually went and posted a video of like actual footage of the soldiers that were heckling the Yemenis people that were fucking pissed off that these assholes were just like colonizing their shit, taking over, using their resources, and trying to promote a like a modern day civilization. And it relates to the fucking I don't know if it's like a what it's actually called, but the name of it is like the white man's burden, or the white burden, the white supremacy burden or something. And it's the fucking way this shit is explained, dude, is it's basically on the burden of the white man because he is civilized, because he is professional, because he is has the right things in order. It is his burden to present and teach the lesser people, which means third world countries, teach them the ways of the white man's people, because they are civilized and they need to teach them. They have to be like, fuck, well, because I'm perfect and this is the way life is supposed to be, I gotta fucking teach these guys. That's basically like the concept of the white man's burden. So that is what fueled the colonization that occurred under the British monarchy. In 1963, the Yemeni people rebelled against the British colonialism. In turn, the Queen ordered her troops to violently suppress any and all dissent as fiercely as possible. And that's when you can watch the video that I posted that showcase just that. And then finally, on the 30th of November 1967, the last British soldier leaves Yemen, and the Yemeni people turn to the streets celebrating the victory of their anti-colonial struggle. And then he mentions Queen Elizabeth is a colonizer and has blood on her hands, which she does. So in that video too, I post at the very end, it shows the like all the Yemeni people celebrating these motherfuckers finally leaving their country. So it's like, dude, it's crazy that we're just like, oh my god. And I'm not saying like everyone, obviously some people know what's up, but most of the people obviously on the majority side will fucking be like, oh, RIP, and sending thoughts and prayers and shit. Like, what the fuck, bruh? So it's just, this shit just gets me so riled up there. And then he finishes off, the historian goes, "This is Queen Elizabeth's legacy, a legacy of colonial violence and plunder, a legacy of racial segregation and institutionalized racism. Some of these boys in these pictures grew old to witness British bombs and intelligence being used against them in 2015 until today." Shit's crazy. And then this is what's so here was the conclusion of the British colonies in South Yemen. The main punitive measure of Queen Elizabeth's Aden colony was forced deportations of native Yemenis into Yemen's desert heartland. The deportations came in response to the Aden Trade Union Congress's call for industrial action in 1957. So a bunch of families split apart, separating them, and just some real fucked up stuff that happened. And then here's the Queen of the United Kingdom and the other Commonwealth realms. Take a look at this fucking chart, dude. Like, there's still present colonies in these other countries, and who do you think controls most of the commodities in those third world countries? Take a wild guess. Like, obviously the top four, maybe Barbados, they have their own kind of shit going on, but who's controlling the back end and the financial systems? That's the real question. And then look at Fiji, dude, down there, 1970 and 1987. Was I lying? I don't think so. So yeah, that's a little fucking rundown history lane for your bitch ass. So if any time you see like, oh, R.I.P. the Queen, just tell that person to go fuck themselves, because that's complete malarkey. You know what I mean? So good riddance. Good riddance. And by the way, she fucking lent out her private cabin to Epstein and Maxwell. Huh? He just found the fucking address or on her desk or what? Yeah, but we're not going to talk about that, right? Whatever. Let's move on to China, bro. So look at this chart, right? So I'm going to show you this chart. This is the demographic chart, the demographic infographic of China's population in 2022. So take a gander at this. So when you're looking at a country, the ones that are thriving the most are the ones that have the most population from the ages of 20 to 50, because those are the motherfuckers that are contributing the most to the economy, right? Those are the motherfuckers that are earning the most and hitting the peak of their life, in comparison to ages 0 through 19, where they're just fucking useless. Basically, they're just borrowing and fucking eating and shitting and sleeping. So like no real added productivity to the economy. And then when you get into like the 60s, 70s, basically 60 onward, that's when the retirees and the fucking productivity just hits 0. So when you break down a demographic pyramid, you look at 4 categories to kind of get a visual idea of how the economy and how the future outlook of that population is going to survive. So those countries that have most people from 20 to 40 are thriving. They're doing well right now. And when we look at these 4 categories, wherever there's an influx of like a bigger buildup, you can really correlate that with how the country is doing today. So when you look at China's chart, you can see that they have a heavier concentration from the ages of, I'd say 50 to 60, right? So they have a majority of their population just getting set into hitting retirement. So that's a huge fucking problem. When you're gonna retire, there's no gradual slope that you're going down. It's at fucking 0, dude. Like, you're not putting anything back into the economy. You're back to a taker, and you're not adding anything into it. So that has drastic effects on the economy as a whole for that country. So when you look at China, look at the ages from 0 to 20. They're not compensating for the generation before them. There's nowhere near enough. So this was a direct result also of that one-child policy that China implemented. So because of that, they reduced their population like way too much. And they had that exponential growth in the 80s and 90s that propelled them in the 2000s and 2010s out of nowhere. It was like no one expected it. And this was why. It was because their population was just so rapidly growing. And now that they halted the brakes on it, it's going to have detrimental effects on the economy. And I'm not going to get so in depth into it, but I just want to visually show you the population pyramids for countries, and it's just really cool to look at. So that was China's. This is ours. So look at that. Pretty substantially different, right? It looks a lot more fucking even. So overall, the US, like, we're going to be straight for a while. There is a little bit of a drop off in the 0 to 10s there, though. That could be a problem unless we start seeing a faster growth rate, which is kind of scary because we actually, I believe for the first time, our growth is not positive, and it's actually, it like halted, or was it stagnating? I'm not too sure, but this is something like Elon Musk has been talking about, and it's like a real voice of concern, dude. It has bad effects when the population starts to drop, because we need people to keep up with our economy based on the population that we have. You know what I mean? We're always innovating, looking for more and more and more, but if there's no extra people to compensate that demand, it has macro effects that are negative for that. It has negative macro effects. So that is the US. This is India. So from this chart, you can kind of see that there is going to be I would predict that India would see a lot of innovation and a lot of productivity coming out of their GDP growing, them expanding, and just hitting that next era of a superpower. And this is like just how you can kind of dictate what's gonna be happening. And then the last one is Russia. So you can see the majority is in that 30-40 range, but they have a huge drop off coming off in that 0 to 20. So what's going to happen with Russia, especially now in their invasion in Ukraine, and how that will affect them moving forward. So that's the whole demography that I wanted to talk about. And then listen, bro, I'm going to jump straight into pyramids and pyramid power, because I really want to talk about this. This is one I really, really want to talk about, and I don't want to be all gassed out fucking talking about investments that I'm in real estate, because you guys can follow me on Instagram specifically for my real estate. It's at Estateverse, like universe and metaverse, but Estateverse. Simple enough, right? So we're going to be reading a lot too on this. There's a lot of screenshots. So if you're watching, I'm going to try to be really more mindful of fucking visually help, or like people that are listening in. I'm trying to explain like what I'm talking about. I'm keeping like a collection of what I talk about, in case anyone ever wants to refer back to them. So if you wanted to talk about something on the podcast, hit me up, bro. I have the information and I have the receipts. Okay. You know what the best part about doing a podcast is? Is that you can just fucking stop out of nowhere and just have a fat ass breakfast, and your audience wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know, huh? So maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But I'm going to say this. This herbal tea's pretty goddamn good. Damn, that is some good fucking, dude. You guys need there already is, but there needs to be a normalization for people just to drink tea, bro. Which again, I'm pretty sure there is, but dude, tea is so fucking good. But like good tea. You know what? We're gonna go down a little tangent here, because I'm just gonna have this final topic, and I think I'll just mesh this into one podcast. I don't know. We'll see how I feel in post and editing and all that stuff. But let me turn this shit off. Before I light this joint up, I wanted to mention some of the pills that I take. Not like Molly and shit, but like the fucking holistic medicine and stuff. Because I got a lot of questions back in the Dizzy on that. So what I take on a regular basis: black seed oil, horse chestnut, chlorophyll, fucking what is it called? Sea moss, Irish sea moss, like a multivitamin that gets whatever I missed, and some fucking fish oil, omega 3. um, so like the black seed oil, like on all of these pills, just go fucking do a regular ass search and learn about them because it's pretty tiring to keep explaining it. But that mixture right there, like the daily dosages, will keep you straight. It'll keep your blood solid. It'll keep your blood sugar good. You'll get all your vitamins. You'll keep your lungs healthy, and you'll make sure you don't get any fucking like cancer, or like it'll keep you safe from all that kind of stuff. That, and also when you go out in public and you come back home, just do a little saline nasal spray, bro. It's all good. Just do that because I don't think it's crazy that this is not common knowledge, but when you are in contact with someone that's sick, you don't immediately get sick, right? Take some time. So what the fuck is going on while that shit's just brewing in you? Well, the germs are in your sinus. It's in you, in the sinus, infesting, growing, multiplying, and ready to beat your fucking ass. But if you come back on a daily basis, whenever you go out, and you do a little saline nasal spray, you'll clear your sinuses, getting rid of the viruses, bacteria, and germs that are in your fucking sinus, as well as your allergens. So just do a saline nasal spray, and then gargle some Listerine, and you're all good to go, and your probability of getting sick is now dwindled to about like 70-80% or something. It's probably more than that, but when you tack on these other supplements, you'll be straight. I haven't been sick in like 5 years or something like that, but I have been sick, trust me. Yeah. So anyways, I think that's all the shit. There's like other shit that I do, but I'm not going to get into the whole thing because that would be a really long tangent. But let's do it, bro. We're going to talk about the pyramids, the electromagnetic energy that's concentrated from within, and we're going to fucking tie this all together into remote viewing and how the pyramids could act as a stargate / receiver of information based on its structure and constellation alignment. I'm so glad I ate before this. So I'm gonna spark this little thanger up. Oh, it's already out. And yeah, dude, let's rock and roll again. We're gonna rock and roll motherfucking again. Awesome, girl. Oh yeah, dude, so my favorite weed of all time is Gorilla Glue. It's like Gorilla Glue, wedding cake, Girl Scout cookies is solid. Oh, Blue Dream cookies, Blue Dream. Cannot forget that. It's a funny ass story. So like back in like 2017, I made a design. Well, I fucking licensed it out from the Versus Everybody, everyone. What? I licensed it out from the Versus Everybody people. God, say that fucking 5 times fast. And I did a shoot with a bunch of Bay Area artists, and it was like sick and all. Got to touch up with got to touch in with everyone, and made some really good relationships. And I did a shoot with fucking King Rod from SOB RBE. That's my boy right there. We actually talk pretty often, so it's pretty cool. Like genuine friendship. It's pretty sick. I give him like advice on stocks and real estate and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, there was a time where I was doing a shoot with him at his place, and we were smoking some of his weed that he got from Burner, and he gave me some, and turned out like that night when I was grinding it up, there was a little seed in there. And don't you know what I did? I planted that motherfucker in a pot, and it grew, and that shit was phenomenal. Blue Dream is crazy good. Crazy good. So when we get into the topic of the pyramids, if you guys ever want information on the pyramids, like good info like not infographics but like explainers. Look up like after school on YouTube, spelled with a K on school instead of a CH. And like Graham Hancock, Randall Carlson, and all of them, because those are like the real deep dives into the shits. You know, like your whatever questions you have, I promise they will answer them and then give you 1,000 more questions on top of that. So we're gonna do a lot of fucking reading today. Well, I'm gonna do a lot of reading, and that's okay because I like reading. And I want you guys to know about this because it's really fucking cool. So, on phys for short, .org, there was a study published from ITMO University by Anastasia Komarova. Anastasia Komarova. Study reveals the Great Pyramid of Giza can focus electromagnetic energy. An international research group has applied methods of theoretical physics to investigate the electromagnetic response of the Great Pyramid to radio waves. Scientists predicted that under resonance conditions, the pyramid can concentrate electromagnetic energy in its inner chambers and under its base. The research group plans to use these theoretical results to design nanoparticles capable of reproducing similar effects in the optical range. Such nanoparticles may be used, for example, to develop sensors and highly efficient solar cells. The study was published in the Journal of Applied Physics. Whew, so the image you see here, you can see there's 10 images of the pyramid, and it's graphed to show the energy, the electromagnetic energy that is concentrated within the pyramid and under its base. So this image here showcases that by looking at the waves inside. And I'm gonna just read this really quick, a description of the image. Propagation of electromagnetic waves inside the pyramids of Cheops at different lengths of radio waves, from 200 to 400 meters. The black rectangular position of the so-called King's Chamber. Credit ITMO University, Laser Zentrum, Hanover. So we're going to get into the article a little bit more here. Let me take a little sip. Damn, the tea's getting cold. Nala, can you warm my tea up? Nala, hey, can you warm my tea up? She's a dog. She can't do it, but who knows, you know? While Egyptian pyramids are surrounded by many myths and legends, researchers have little scientifically reliable information about their physical properties. Physicists recently took an interest in how the Great Pyramid would interact with electromagnetic waves of a resonant length. Calculations showed that in the resonant state, the pyramid can concentrate electromagnetic energy in its the pyramids can concentrate electromagnetic energy in its internal chambers as well as under its base, where the third unfinished chamber is located. Little pause there. I don't know why it's written like that, but I read that shit right, and it's weird. Just in case you're just listening and trying to be more mindful of that. Okay, continuing on. These conclusions were derived on the basis of numerical modeling and analytical methods of physics. The researchers first estimated that resonances in the pyramid can be induced by radio waves with a length ranging from 200 to 600 meters. Then, they made a model of the electromagnetic response of the pyramid and calculated the extinction cross-section. This value helps to estimate which part of the incident wave energy can be scattered or observed by the pyramid under resonant conditions. Finally, for the same conditions, the scientists obtained the electromagnetic field distribution inside the pyramid. In order to explain the results, the scientists conducted a multipole analysis. This method is widely used in physics to study the interaction between a complex object and electromagnetic field. The object scattering the field is replaced by a set of simpler sources of radiation, multipoles. The collection of multipole radiation coincides with the field scattering by an entire object. Therefore, knowing the type of each multipole, it is possible to predict and explain the distribution and configuration of the scattered fields in the whole system. Wow. Sorry, I'm just like digesting that. The Great Pyramid attracted the researchers while they were studying the interaction between light and dielectric nanoparticles. The scattering of light by nanoparticles depends on their size, shape, and refractive index of the source material. Varying these parameters, it is possible to determine the resonance scattering regimens and use them to develop devices for controlling light at the nanoscale. And then, quote, Egyptian pyramids have always attracted great attention. We as scientists were interested in them as well. So we decided to look at the Great Pyramid as a particle dissipating radio waves resonantly. Due to the lack of information about the physical properties of the pyramid, we had to use some assumptions. For example, we assumed that there are no unknown cavities inside, and the building material with the properties of an ordinary limestone is evenly distributed in and out of the pyramid. With these assumptions made, we obtained interesting results that can find important practical applications, said Dr. S.C. Andriy Yolkovic. Dude, you're gonna have to look up this name. I don't know, but yeah. So, says that doctor, scientific supervisor, and coordinator of the research. Now the scientists plan to use the results to reproduce similar effects at the nanoscale. Choosing a material with suitable electromagnetic properties, we can obtain pyramidal nanoparticles with a promise for practical application in nanosensors and effective solar cells, said Paula Kapitanova, PhD, a member of the Faculty of Physics and Technology of ITMO University. So, that's pretty interesting, right? They figured out it can concentrate energy within that king's chamber, also in the pyramid's center as well as below. And it's interesting because that's what we fucking always assumed, but that was always looked upon as something of a conspiracy. And then this next image is just what ITMO is, just in case you want to like read into it. ITMO University is ITMO University is a St. Petersburg best university and one of the top universities of the world. With over 120 years of experience propelling it forward, ITMO is a trailblazer in all things IT, quantum science, and photonics. That seems pretty solid to me. Yeah, so you guys can look that up there. But yeah, so here's a little visual of the pyramid and what that article was talking about, just so you can see a little more descriptive of how the pyramid looks like. And by the way, there's no hieroglyphics in the pyramid. None. And you know how the mainstream idea is that the pyramids were like fucking tombs for the pharaohs, right? Nope. If you ever looked at a fucking tomb for pharaohs, for ancient Egyptians, they go balls out. Decorations, gold, trinkets, the whole fucking nine. None of that shit is in the pyramids, bro. It's like, it's so obvious that it's a power plant that it's fucking laughable. Like, bruh, why can't we just, like, who's holding this shit back? You know what I mean? Like, that's what makes me so fucking angry. It's like, and then have you guys ever looked at how the top of the pyramids look in versus of a fucking motherboard of a computer? It's pretty fucking eerily similar of how it's structured. And then if you humor the idea that it actually was a power plant, then it makes the fucking comparison that more profound, you know? So here's the next part, the next article. So I want to read these articles, and they're long because I want you to have a general foundation of like what the fuck I'm talking about. So if I'm just like, yeah, dude, they're power plants. Like, okay, how? Like, literally, how? Like, what are you fucking talking about? So we're gonna go through these just so you understand them a little bit better. And so when I present my own ideas on you, you're not gonna be like caught off guard with some crazy shit because you'll already have been, you know, exposed to the crazy shit from these articles. All right. So this next article is from medium.com by Chris Thompson. The title is Were the Pyramids Power Plants? So this article starts off with a nice little, another visual so you can see how the pyramid looks from the inside from what we've discovered thus far. The king's chamber on top with the two air shafts that go horizontally in or diagonally into the pyramid. Grand gallery extending down into the queen's chamber, which is just below the king's chamber, and how there's passageways descending into the subterranean chamber below the surface, and then below that is actually like aquifers and reserves of water underneath that play a part in the power plant hypothesis, which was also used in Tesla's Wardcliffe Tower. I hope I pronounced that right. That he built in Salt Lake City. Fucking insane. And actually, I'm gonna write that down because that it relates to this whole thing as a whole. So hold up 1 second. Here we go. The Great Pyramid of Giza was once covered with white polished limestone, referred to as casing stones. The stones fit together so perfectly they would have given the pyramid smooth, flawless sides. This would have made the giant structure briefly reflect the sun like a mirror. It also would have made the inside of the structure perfectly insulated. A large earthquake in 1303 shattered many casing stones, and the remainder were removed to use on other structures. Today, all that remains is the inner core of the pyramid. The material dolomite was used in the inner surfaces of the pyramid. Dolomite is known to increase electric conductivity, directly relative to the amount of pressure on it. High pressure creates more electrical current. Lining the passageways and underground tunnels of the pyramid is granite, which is slightly radioactive. Granite contains high amounts of crystal quartz with metal, and it's a well-known conductor of piezoelectricity. I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, fuck off. Piezoelectricity occurs as a result of stress or pressure on the quartz, as demonstrated by quartz wristwatches, which can be charged by simply shaking them. The granite actually ionizes the air inside the pyramid, creating a chemical reaction, which again increases the conductivity of electricity. When such electrons are given the chance to bypass sections of rock via metal wire, quite large currents can flow. If granite was not chosen for its electrical conductivity, we must ask why else would the Egyptians use it? It has certainly stood the test of time, no matter which version of history you believe, the conventional one that says it was built 4,500 years ago, or the unconventional versions which say it could be as old as 20,000 years. Still, the amount of work involved beggars the imagination. Granite is one of the hardest stones on Earth, so working it would have taken at least 10 times as long building the pyramids out of limestone as they did the Sphinx. Limestone was also a more logical choice because it was abundant on the Giza plateau. It is thought that the granite used to make the pyramids was brought in by boat from a quarry in Assam 500 miles away. Wikipedia says 8,000 tons of granite were used in the Great Pyramid. That's an awful lot of very long boat trips. Additionally, the pyramid is estimated to be made of 2.3 million blocks, which would have meant installing 800 tons of stone every day to complete it in 20 years. Put another way, it would have meant putting an average of 12 blocks in place, each weighing between 25 to 80 tons every hour, day and night for 20 years. Do you really think the Egyptians would go so much effort just to build a tomb that would last forever? Begs the question, huh? Any electrical engineer will tell you that a container serving as an energy capacitor or battery must be made entirely of the same substance, so there's no interruption in the magnetic field. There's a centuries old granite sarcophagus on display in an Egyptian museum that's thought to be unfinished. However, unlike those in the pyramid, this one's cracked, suggesting it wasn't unfinished, merely abandoned, since the crack would have interrupted the magnetic field. In 1993, a mysterious and inaccessible room was discovered after remaining hidden for thousands of years. Appearing to have been deliberately concealed by the structure's engineers, the room came to be called the Queen's Chamber and was finally explored in 2011 with a small remote camera to reveal a carefully crafted copper wire. More importantly, there were instructions painted as symbols onto the floor which appeared to show a clear wiring diagram. Are you guys fucking listening to this? Like, this isn't taught, right? Motherfuckers, no one was thinking about this, bro. Everyone, dude, and can you imagine, like, this isn't talked about, bro? Like, these are the motherfuckers before us. Like, dude, it's just crazy how much we don't know. Anyways, any battery, from those used in a large power plant to the smallest pellet batteries in wristwatches, requires a metal such as copper to create the chemical reaction known as potential difference. You can run an electric current through copper wire, and the coil will produce a short-range magnetic field. Add second coil, and the power is transferred from one coil to another. A windowless room with copper wiring could create a high potential on one wall, which transfers energy to the lower potential on the other wall, consequentially releasing electromagnetic energy into the confined space of the so-called Queen's Chamber. Sadly, these wires have since disappeared entirely, and mainstream Egyptologists claim there's no functionality to this room whatsoever, as they also claim there's no functionality of anything in the pyramid beyond the ways it serves as a tomb. It could still be argued that the electrical material used to construct the Great Pyramid are purely coincidental, because an energy generator still requires a catalyst from another source. Perhaps this explains why pyramids are geographically located over a powerful natural generator, underground rivers, and aquifers. Piezoelectricity could be harnessed from the power of the current as the water flows, and it has been proven that thousands of years ago the Nile River ran straight past the pyramids. This brings into debate the age of the pyramids themselves. The weathering on pyramids and on the nearby Sphinx indicate the monuments are actually double the age they're currently assumed to be. Perhaps this explains why there are no mentions of the pyramids or the creations in any of the Egyptian writings. There's no hieroglyphics, anything in Egyptian writing about the fucking pyramids, bruh. Like, how does that not just make you go like, oh, what the fuck? Like, we're completely wrong about this. Anyways. So if water was the power source, it would have traveled up the limestone base on the principle of capillary action, which happens when a small area of substance that gets wet absorbs the entire area of that substance. The tunnel leading down from the bottom of the pyramid could have tapped into an aquifer, channeling the water up into the pyramid through a series of tunnels, so water flowing near or underneath the pyramid could have been absorbed as it passed over the limestone, even traveling upward to the top of the structure. The quartz and tunnels of the pyramids would be subject to the stress or vibration, creating piezoelectricity. The high force speed and the pressure of the rising water would be analogous to filling a syringe, generating electromagnetic energy within the structure by the materials within it and conducting it upward to the now missing capstone. The Great Pyramid is located at the exact point which magnifies the electromagnetic forces of on the planet, where telluric currents are at their strongest. There's an electromagnetic field at the bottom of the pyramid, which would rise to the upper layers with these chemical reactions. And dude, this shit is nuts, man. Like reading this shit, just like, oh, here, and this is where Tesla gets involved. We don't know for sure what capped the pyramid, but there's speculation that it may have been gold, explaining why it was the first thing to go missing. If it was indeed gold, this could have created a conductive path for energy to be directed upward, high into the ionosphere. The Great Pyramid may in fact have been a form of Tesla Tower, constructed 10,000 years or more before Nikola Tesla built his own tower in 1903. Tesla claimed that at 30,000 feet altitude, there's a stratum of rarefied air that would conduct electric currents at high voltages. In this proposed system, there was a transmitter, the Tesla Tower, which would transmit millions of volts into the atmosphere. Then he had something, a rod in the ground with a few special modifications, that would receive the energy and reduce the voltage to a potential that could be used by consumers. Unfortunately, Tesla's work was funded by J.P. Morgan, who was an oil and gas tycoon who dominated the electricity industry in the 1900s. Go figure, huh? Guess how this story ends. Morgan correctly saw Tesla's tower as a threat to his business, as it would have meant free electricity for everyone, and used all of his money and influence to ruin Tesla. We've seen induction work between copper wires over a short distance. For long distance transfer, the same principle can be applied when acoustic energy is converted to kinetic energy, and the frequencies match. We see this in practice when an opera singer shatters a glass with their voice. The frequency of the singer's voice matches the resonant frequency of the glass, and the acoustic energy is converted into kinetic energy. So if there's a magnetically oscillating current and you create a second possessing the same frequency, the wireless transmission can pass through solid objects and through long distances. The frequency which would have been released from the pyramid would have to have been matched in the surrounding areas. Pay attention, guys. Pay attention. Perhaps this would explain the obelisks. The tall stones shaped like the Washington Monument, only smaller. With quartz stones on top of them, the obelisk could have acted as receivers, just like Tesla's specifically modified rods. Like the pyramids themselves, the obelisks were made of granite, were huge and heavy, and would have been extremely difficult to carve, move, and transport from a quarry at Asan 500 fucking miles away. So it's unlikely they were created merely for religious or decorative purposes. They had free energy, bruh. This is how it's done. The pyramid concentrates the energy and it fucking releases the voltages out. It's caught by the obelisk around the city, and there's gonna be free energy all around us. That's why Tesla fucking has the bulb next to his tower and it fucking turns on, because the energy was all around. That's how you make free energy. It's pyramids. That's why ancient cultures all had fucking pyramids. In all, the Egyptians created 28 obelisks, so it would have been a massive undertaking. Most are now fallen and only 8 remain standing in Egypt today. However, there are also standing Egyptian obelisks in Istanbul, Rome, London, Paris, and New York. It has suggested that these were stolen from Egypt, but considering that even the lightest obelisk weighed 110 tons, they varied considerably in both size and weight, and up to a maximum of 323 tons. This begs the question, Who would go to the trouble of transporting such a heavy object thousands of kilometers just to steal a huge block of stone for decorative purposes? I think it much more likely. I think it much more likely than the Egyptians were in the process of setting up a global power distribution network that was either never completed or completed and then destroyed thousands of years ago. If the ancient Egyptians had electricity, it would explain why so many ancient carvings seem to depict giant light bulbs. It would also explain why there are no soot marks from flame torches inside the fucking pyramids. They may have had electrical lighting. So this image here in the article is called the Dendera light bulb. That's the name that the Egyptians gave it, and it's fucking like obviously a bulb or of some sort. And then the next part of the article. We know there is a heightened electromagnetic measurement around the pyramid that's equivalent to that made in an electrical storm. So, if the Great Pyramid was a power plant designed to generate and transmit wireless electricity, why don't we know about it? For the same reason most people don't know about Tesla's wireless electricity. It will put the fossil fuel industry out of business. These magnates that own the fossil fuel industry would lose trillions of dollars a year if it became known that we didn't have to rely on them for electricity. So they're using all the money and influence they already have to make sure that the secret of the pyramids remains buried, just as they tried to bury all the knowledge of Tesla's inventions. Except that by the time JP Morgan decided to ruin Tesla, too many people knew about the Tesla Tower. It had already become part of the historical record. Still, it's not part of the history you're taught in school, is it? And why do you think that is? The pyramids, on the other hand, well, everybody knows that they're just the tombs of the ancient pharaohs. And it's in the best interest of the fossil fuel magnates to perpetuate this myth. Although it's possible that the copper wires in the Queen's chamber by relic hunter/thieves, I think it's more than likely they were taken by agents of the fossil fuel companies to erase the most compelling evidence of the true purpose of the Great Pyramid. I don't know about all that end part, but in terms of the physics and science, you bet your ass. So that was an article by Chris Thompson, again by medium.com, and that kind of goes into how it would be possible for the pyramids to actually conduct energy and spread it throughout the city. So now that you have an understanding about fucking the pyramids and the power plant, now we get into the aspect of them being aligned with the constellation. Specifically on Giza, it's aligned with Orion's belt. Now, why the fuck is it aligned with Orion's belt? So there's a lot of speculation, of course. And this is the aspect where I ask you to open your imagination. If they're aligned with these constellations and it generates an enormous amount of power, one could beg the question that maybe there can be a connection with a suffice amount of energy. So when we talk about the stars and our connection with them, let's talk about dark energy and dark matter. Take a look at this graph here, and this graph is it depicts it's an infograph of the universe and the composition that make up basically everything. So, caveat, dark energy and dark matter, they're theoretical. We don't have any evidence at all to prove it. It's all theoretical. Gravity, theoretical. We don't have any proof. It's just our assumptions that have been accepted into theory. So just putting that out there, we don't know shit. And we just put the name dark in front of it just to give this fucking mysterious shit and throw another couple of big words in there. But we don't know. It's all theoretical, and we're going based of our current visual assumptions with the technology that we have. When Tesla talks about dark energy and dark matter, he's talking about the Ethereum, or the ethereal. When Tesla's talking about dark energy and dark matter, he's using a different term, the ethereal. And the ethereal is what I believe to be the global consciousness. The global consciousness, dark matter, dark energy, ethereal, I think they're the same fucking thing. When you remote view, the science behind it is that our subconscious vibrates at a certain level, and through transcendental meditation, the frequency at which our body fluctuates in resonates with the Earth's frequency, which is at 7.83 hertz, which is called the Schumann resonance. When that happens, our spirit, our mind, our consciousness, all the same thing, is able to tap into the global consciousness of the Earth because we're in resonance with it. And through that, that's how remote viewing is able to be done. In that global consciousness, the mind is able to move however it wants within the constraints, I guess, which we don't know yet. But in that ethereal, there's no concept of time, which is why remote viewers are able to look into the future and the past and all that good stuff. So it's a whole different kind of dimension that we are currently living in, that it's a whole other different dimension that coexists with our current. That's what I believe the ethereal is. It's our consciousness on a global scale, I'd say universal scale, and it's how we're able to tap into these intuitions. So, in comparison to the pyramids, here's what I present. If the pyramids were to act as a superpower source, then that electricity, that power would be able to be transmitted into the universal ethereal. And if they're pointed in certain directions, there could be a stronger connection to those constellations. I believe in ancient Egyptian writings, they say the soul, when you die, the soul goes to Orion, and then from there it's either is it the reincarnation or something. I'm not sure, but the soul makes its way to Orion. That's how much I know for sure. So it could be a connection in some source because of how powerful it was, and with the ethereal connection, that's how we could receive information. That's how we can communicate with other beings throughout the universe. And in relation to remote viewing, the ethereal is the way that viewers are able to locate these eccentric targets and interact within our reality on another dimension. And also, because of the magnitude of energy, it could act as a stargate as well. So, for example, it could be the pyramids. A portal could open up, connecting the Orion constellation. Those are more speculative, obviously. But it's good to wonder, and it's good to, think about what other phenomena and mysteries these pyramids hold within, Like, we don't know the whole picture of the pyramids. Like, we don't know everything that's inside of it, and nowhere near close to understanding the ancient Egyptians and the relics of the past, So there you have it. Pyramid power, the stars' alignment, a stargate, a portal to receive information, dark matter, dark energy, ethereal. This was just a little overview. Obviously, you can look up videos that go so much more in depth, but I am going to cap it at this. There's obviously some stuff I couldn't talk about, but that's okay. I think I'm going to combine this into one podcast. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one because it was super fun to do. It was on topics that I love to talk about. And if you have any questions about any of the topics that I've talked about today or in past podcast, feel free to reach out. Again, I started my Patreon. It would be super sick if you could help and financially support the podcast. It would allow me to get better equipment. And ultimately, I would like to conduct more research into eccentric topics such as remote viewing. And on a grander scale, I would fucking love to crowdfund building a pyramid in a city. Like, if you had like millions of people that were down to do it and gave like $5, like, we could fund anything in the world. We could just buy an island and just start building a pyramid and see if we can create free energy there. And then we'll like send all of the people part of the contribution over there to see it for themselves. And then that would set the example for future generations. And if I don't get killed, or if my board members and other helping aides don't get fucking killed, we could make some noise with this. So keep that in mind, you know, the contributions, because I want to, like, when I, you know, because obviously you guys can support me in any way, real estate and clothing and the CRTN news and all that good stuff, but these funds for vibrations is specifically for just figuring some shit out. And I'd love to be on this journey with you guys. So thank you for listening to episode 4, I think we're on. And I will catch you on the next one.